I'm gonna tell you a secret. Boring works, and this is why. What I'm gonna show you is out of the ordinary because I'm in Bali behind this beautiful jungle with these very nice rice fields, but that's only 10% of the reality. It's what you see online. It's not how real life actually looks like. It's not how real entrepreneurship looks like. It's nice, and this whole hook that I lure you in with coming close to the camera and then doing a cool transition to a background like this, it's not reality. So now let's tap into that. And we're back. This is reality, not me chilling on a couch. Reality is that I spend 90% of my time in a co working doing stuff. Now, let's fix the positioning because this is probably not a nice angle. So, with my cross all up. That's better. Let me dive into it. Since I've spent almost half a year in Bali now, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, I lost almost everything. I made a separate video about that. There's going to be an update about how I regained everything right now to almost 20k contracted value next week. But within getting back to that 20k, there's a really interesting lesson. And that's what I started this video out with as well. Boring works. Doing the boring stuff. As in, yes, I still have dinner with friends. But my day normally is I wake up, I go to the gym, I go to work, I have dinner with friends or lunch with friends, and then I work some more. Evenings grinding away at the co working until 12. Nights that I track with my whoop, where I have 5 hours of sleep to 6 hours of sleep for 5 days in a row. And that's simply doing what's necessary. I love working remote. I love living in Bali. I love building my own companies. But the reality is just that boring work, especially when it comes to when you're building your company, when you're having your routines, when you're having your relationships. In the beginning, everyone in Bali or everyone that arrives into a new place or to entrepreneurial circles, they want to network as much as possible. They want to meet people. They don't want to feel lonely. But after a while, you found your tribe, you found your people, and then consistently meeting new people can be quite exhausting. So it's good to stick with the people that you know are nice. It's good to stick with a routine, to wake up, go to the gym, work, lunch, work, dinner, sleep. It's good. But also, when one of the biggest insights that I got is that through social media, through Alex Hormozi, Stephen Bartlett, Chris Williamson, they all go after B2C brands. What I mean with that is Whoop is a B2C company. Agencies is the golden standard for what you're gonna do. Right now, I think 7 out of 10 people that I meet here in Bali all of a sudden have an AI company because it's the shiny new thing. There's one sentence from Alex Hormozi that I really like, and that's what's the woman in the red dress? It comes down to this Matrix metaphor where Morpheus is like to Neo, the main character of the movie. Don't look at the woman in the red dress. Don't look at the woman in the red dress. Don't look at the woman in the red dress.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was.
Look again.
You look at the woman in the red dress, and there's Agent Smith, the main bad guy of the movie, with a gun to his head. Once you chase all the shiny niches, all the shiny things, it's the thing that eventually kills you. For the agency, for example, we want to focus on loan brokers in America. Very boring. But what does that tell me is a stable company, has money, and is willing to pay retainers with a performance base. AI. Very good, but if you can be way more specific with AI, it's 10 times more valuable. What if I tell you that I can decrease churn within your company? So, how many people leave the company by creating an entire follow up flow within the payment structure, specifically for real estate agents or specifically for gyms? Then that's valuable. But what I see a lot of the AI people do, we automate your company. What does that even mean? It's very vague, broad terms. And then they all go after the agencies, which is trending. It's trending to have an agency. They all do AI stuff. It's trending to do AI stuff. Well, the big money is actually in boring. If you look at what real rich people do, that are going into private equity, that are going into all of those things, they go after the boring companies. They go after real estate brokers. They go after loan brokers. They go after brick and mortar businesses like dental clinics, roofing, because that's where the money is. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I had. The fact that I live in Bali right now, the fact that I do a remote company makes me a fucking cliche. The fact if I would go to Dubai, it would make me a cliche because why? Dubai is trending. If I would go to America and, for example, I would go to Austin, Austin is quite upcoming. It makes me a fucking cliche. Where are all those boring companies with those boring niches with a lot of money? Maybe they're somewhere in a small town in Germany with a lot of manufacturers. Then there I can meet the right people for my boring stuff, to do my boring routines, to make the boring money, which is actually a lot of money. This lesson, it quite stuck with me actually. Even though I love the view from here with the rice fields in the jungle, it's nice. But the people I will meet in Bali is probably like coaches, agency owners, and a couple of hidden gems that I figured out to filter from. It's just when everyone is doing something, do you dare to go and swim the other direction? There's this meme, I will put it in the screen. And that's like this one guy, as you see, against 1,000 people saying, you're all wrong. And that's kind of the point of boring. Boring is amazing because boring builds you stability, boring is sustainable, and boring, what not is trending, is the thing that will help you move forward. The amount of people that I met here in Bali that say, I have 2 months runway and now I want to become a content creator is hilarious. And it's not because becoming a content creator is bad, and it's not because the people is bad, but it's just because it's a fucking cliche. And this lesson is something to me that I really wanted to share. Past 1.5 year, when I was traveling the world full time from Morocco on a business retreat to Lisbon to Bali to Vietnam, Da Nang, to multiple places in Thailand, from Bangkok to Chiang Mai, those are nomad hubs. Nomad hubs on themselves are not boring. So the people that you meet that go there will automatically fall into a certain category of people. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it really depends on what you want to do. Today I had this conversation with someone that was very interesting. The person asked me, where do you want to go? I had pen and paper with me, and I actually drew something out, which I'm get for you right now. What I drew out was this. And what does this mean? Basically means my strategy for the next couple of years and how I want to approach things. So what I do right now is I have two companies. Marketing company, that's what you see right here. And this marketing company is very much the front end of every company. It's marketing and sales. How can you get leads and how can you close deals? Then the other company is the automation company. But automations in a business doesn't mean AI. It means making data insightful and iterate based on the data. It's operations, and that's what I'm probably need to do for the next 2 to 3 years to make money. And then I have this big umbrella of things underneath where I have my main YouTube channel, which is very much the journey as a nomad entrepreneur, where I'm gonna start up my podcast again, which create network, and network creates opportunities. So that's the flywheel I'm gonna use this channel for, and also because I like to do it. The podcast I learn from people, and YouTube and the videos that I'm making right now is how I document my entire journey, which I just love to look at. I looked at one of my videos from 2 years ago.
Hello and welcome everybody to my first video actually.
It was me sitting in my student room in Arnhem, a smaller city in the Netherlands. Then it was me sitting in my house in Amsterdam, which was a dream since I was 16 years old. Then it was me with my first trip to Bali, my first nomad trip to Lisbon, my first trip to Madeira, my first trip to whatever. And it's all documented on this channel. And that to me is very dear. And that's not only dear to me, where I document the journey, but it's also credibility, that I say who I am. You have all the videos to prove it. Then I have the second channel that I'm working on and should honestly put a bit more effort in right now, which is where I only talk about business stuff. So where I talk about copywriting, where I talk about marketing, where I talk about funnels. I have a video in the pipeline where I talk about how to structure company data for the automation company. It's all the business insights that I put into that channel that I will use to nurture my leads that come into my company in general. It's boring work, but the consistency is what makes it work. And then I have my Instagram where I share the whole journey, plus some business insights on ads, on testimonials from clients that I have. Again, that's very much boring, and that's the brand stuff. But the brand stuff is, but when it comes to what I need to do right now, because this is not very much much bringing in clients right now, this brand umbrella, it's a long-term vision. It's something I'm willing to do for the next 10 years. What I'm doing now is networking, showing up to events, meeting people in person, and that brings inflow for both the automation company and the marketing company. What we're setting up right now, which is literally launched this week, is a cold email campaign where we just, again, generate inflow for both businesses. Both businesses have a cold email campaign live right now. By the end of this month, we're probably going to launch an ad campaign for the automation company, which again is boring business stuff. And that's needed to create the inflow for this company. And when the inflow for this company is created, it generates revenue, and the revenue I can reinvest into the brand umbrella that takes away my time right now to get things going. And within the long term vision, it's basically three things. One is sales and marketing, that's the front end. Then you have the back end, that is operations. Then you have another part that's systems that keep the whole thing running, and you have delivery. All of this can be more smoothed out through operations, systems, automations, making data insightful. And that's what I'm building and learning through the automation company. The sales and marketing side is what I'm learning through the marketing company. And while I'm building those companies, I learn the third part of business, which is delivery and also building a team around it. When I do that, the goal is to scale those two companies within the next 2 to 3 years to, of course, make a lot of money. Also, because I just love the game of business and continuing this in a boring way towards boring companies like loan brokers and real estate agents instead of coaches, consultants, agency owners, which first was my target audience. But I pivoted that to more boring niches because they're easier to approach and it's less of a red ocean. So you have, like, within the book Blue Ocean Strategy, you have a blue ocean, that's an ocean where not that many fish swim and you have lots of opportunities, and you have a red ocean where lots of people go into and try to catch what's left. Well, you always have a couple of sharks within the red ocean. Once I'm doing that, the end goal is to pump more money into this machine, so to create the brand. And from the brand, I want to go into private equity. That's within the next 5 to 6 years. And within those next 5 to 6 years, I might want to organize retreats. I might want to launch a couple of softwares that would be valuable within the micro niches that I serve through my companies. Then I might want to build a community around that. And within that, you can nurture the people. I'm writing a book right now, which is also a way of nurturing people and gain trust. And within that book, within that strategy, when I want to go into private equity, I can implement the systems and the tools that I gained through my two companies. So the operations and the automations, and also the marketing side. That's my long-term vision. It's very boring, but it works. It's not trendy. It requires a lot of work, but for the love of the game, it's just what I do. On this channel, I just document that entire journey. To even narrow this down a bit more, I honestly believe within this entire journey that everything goes into three phases. Phase one, that's probably where a lot of the people are. That is learning, not earning. And that's what I did the past 4 years, where I spent a lot of time as a sales rep, where I did 5,000 sales conversations, 550 deals closed, over 750K in revenue generated for the clients that I did it for, analyzed over 900 funnels. My business partner managed over 1 million in ad spend for multiple people. That's doing the work. That's becoming good at what you're doing. And once you start in entrepreneurship, you always start at learning, not earning. Now, where I'm at with building my two companies, I transition into earning. That's implementing what I learned in my learning phase into my companies to build the companies and scale the companies, where I'm very much at right now, to make money. So from learning to earning. And then, of course, within the whole pillar and the whole thing within my building my companies, I'll learn a lot more to even earn more and then go into private equity. And it's funny because I actually made a video about this 3 years ago or 2 years ago even, where I talked about this as well.
And today we're gonna unreveal the 3-stage process to get a clear vision, and we'll dissect the power of a long-term vision, the practicality of a mid-term state, and the necessity of a short-term grind.
What does boring then exactly means. Boring means make a plan, stick to it, and execute. Try not to get distracted by the woman in the red dress. Try not to get distracted by everything that all the other people are saying and doing. Do not get distracted and just continue on in your own journey. Or I can travel, but then my business probably will go down. That's what I experienced in the past 1.5 years. Or I can stay in one place and my businesses grow because I've just been consistent. I've just been boring. If you think this video was valuable, then of course subscribe to this channel to follow this entire journey of me as a nomad entrepreneur. And on the other side, I also have, like I mentioned briefly, a second channel where I only talk about business stuff. So you can find that right here as well. Click on it if you want to see all the stuff that I implement for my clients. And if you like this video, I'm almost 100% certain that you'll love this video right here. So right now, visionaries, as always, take action, and I see you in the next one. Ciao.